to the delight of all Mavs fans, to loosely quote President Gerald Ford, my friends, our long national nightmare is over in Dallas. Although the nightmare is not necessarily over because firing Nico Harrison doesn't bring Luka Doncic back. But alas, Nico Harrison has been fired by the Dallas Mavericks. And I got to say, first and foremost, before we get into the specifics of this, I am floored at the number of people that are like, Nico wasn't the problem. Charles Barkley, who y'all know I love Charles. I get on Charles, but it's all love. Charles Barkley's the man. My guy. Love him to death. I defend him. I will be the last man outside of his wife, Renee, that will defend Draymond Green. But Draymond Green and others. Man, Nico Harrison wasn't the problem. He was correct in trading Luka. By what metric imaginable? We're going to use this on this show. We're actually going to use a couple of old carving up graphics to bring on here. But this was back in February when the trade was made. This is who Dallas traded, to the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka's postseason numbers, prior to last year. He was second all time in playoff points behind MJ at 30.9, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 46% for the field, 2 conference finals appearances, and he was 9 months removed at that point from taking the Mavs to the NBA Finals. Real quick, let's go ahead and look at that trade for just a second. Let's look at the trade, okay? So Lakers got Luka, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris. Mavs got Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round pick in 2029. If you are Nico Harrison, the whole justification of making this move was, Luka maybe gives us the better chance to win long-term from a more broad perspective, but right now, I think we have the personnel to build a defense-minded team to go compete for a championship. Got PJ Washington, got, what's my man's name? Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. Now we have some real size. We got Anthony freaking Davis, and Kyrie could score the basketball. Like, hey, that can win a championship in the next 2 to 3 seasons. Small window, but we think we can do it. Kind of like, i.e. Brooklyn Nets with KD, Kyrie, and Harden type of mindset. Kyrie blows his Achilles. AD deals with injuries. Oh, man, well, that's not fair to... You didn't see that coming? Maybe not an Achilles. God bless Kyrie, knock on wood. Hopefully he is able to come back at this point this season and play for somebody else, play winning caliber basketball, because Kyrie, I've grown to really admire him the last couple of years. But Kyrie's in his 15th season last year, 14th season with an injury history from day one. Going back to Duke has an injury history. And Anthony Davis missed the entirety of his first season in the NBA due to injury and has an injury history. And he's older than Luka. And now, as we've seen from recent photos, is maybe in worse shape than Luka was in. Maybe not worse, but close to it. So you're banking your immediate championship contention on 2 stars, 2, no question, future first ballot Hall of Famers, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, who have an injury history. Who, in the case of Anthony Davis, is notorious for coming into camp out of shape. 2020 is the prime example. Like, that was supposed to be Bron, AD, lead the Lakers to a title in the bubble, and Bron's going to hand the baton to AD, and AD comes to camp out of shape. And it was kind of like this, oh, so it's not going to be like that, huh? Okay, so he's not going to be the next Lakers big legend. It's not going to be, Kareem and then Shaq and then Anthony Davis. But then Dallas, by virtue of pure luck, lands the number 1 overall pick in the draft, takes Cooper Flagg, and thus far he just looks solid. Like, I think he's got a bright future ahead. We're way too quick to say he's gonna be this, he's gonna be that after just 10 games of the league. I think Cooper Flagg's gonna be really good. But Nico Harrison's whole thing, defense wins championships. That was the rationale in the press conference he had. I think it was with Jason Kidd, Mavs ownership after the Luka Doncic trade. Can we show what the Mavs defense has been? Because to his credit, the defense has been great. Fantastic. And by the way, this was with Anthony Davis missing most of the year. 3rd in defensive rating. 8th in points per game allowed. Mavs defense has been great. The Mavs offense has been literally the worst in the NBA. Literally. Worst offensive rating, last in points per game. Meanwhile, Luka Doncic with the Los Angeles Lakers, because, I know he's fat, lazy, drank too much. He's averaging 37, 9, and 9 on 49% shooting, and thus far through 7 games, he scored 35 plus 5 times. He scored 40 plus 3 times. And it goes back to, folks, some things just don't need a lot of, you don't need to break it down a ton in order to understand that. I've used the example all the time, like our Constitution. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And it's self-evident. It's so obvious, we don't even need to say it a second time. Again, for those that are still iffy on whether or not Dallas or the Lakers won the trade. I'm a Warriors fan. Trust me, I wish the Lakers didn't win the trade. But just say it out loud. Let's see. The guy who's second all-time in points per game in the playoffs coming into last year, 9 months removed from taking Dallas to a finals, 9 months removed after taking them to their second conference finals in 3 years, is the second greatest player in franchise history in his prime with MVPs in his future, scoring titles in his future. Okay, he's out of shape. Not going to say he wasn't. But he can't get in shape, A, and B, he was pretty good out of shape. He took you to two conference finals and won a finals, was beloved in the city of Dallas, and you trade him without him knowing until the last second. You do it, by the way, you do it in the middle of the night. I remember where I was. I was in Florida. I was sweaty. I was about to go to bed. It was like 12:30 morning. I'm going to bed. It's the weekend. And I see the news. I don't believe it. Nobody believes it until Shams literally goes on television and said, guys, this is true. This just happened. Blindside Luka, really blindside Mavs fans. Tank, the value of the franchise. And for what? Ego. Because let's keep it a buck. Nico Harrison, clearly. I mean, we've seen the video where he takes the beer out of Luka's hands after the Mavs gentlemen sweep the Timberwolves to get to the finals in 2024. Where it's, okay, yeah, I know you just led us to our second or third finals in franchise history, or first in, 13 years. But, we're just not going to have that. We've got a week for the finals. The man can have a drink. He can. He's a grown adult. And so, and if you're I'm a Warriors fan. I am still, what are we, 9 months removed? 9 months removed from the trade. I'm still enraged for Mavs fans. I cannot imagine if when I was 13, 14, 15 years old. Now, again, Steph had won championships, Luka hadn't. But Luka is the caliber of player, or at least close to the caliber of player Steph was at his peak, which tells you what I think of Luka, because I think Steph's one of the 6 greatest players ever. Luka's got more first-team All-NBAs than Steph, so that tells you. If Bob Myers in the middle of the night, mid-season, out of nowhere, traded Steph Curry, that's the reason for me and every single person who calls himself a fan of the Golden State Warriors say, hell with y'all. We're never watching this team until you're fired. You just traded, in the case of Steph, greatest player in franchise history. In the case of Luka, second greatest. Maybe he could have eventually became the greatest Mav ever. We'll never know. Because of ego. Because of pride. Because you want to do it your way. Even though you're 9 months removed from a finals. You just gone there. You had cruised through the West. You'd taken out the 1-seed Thunder. You had gentlemen swept the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah, you lose to Boston. Boston rolled through everybody. Like they were getting comparisons to all-time great teams. No shame in that. So it's just Nico Harrison should never work in an NBA front office again. I'm sorry, he can't. I'm sure there are better people for whatever job openings that you would have if you're an NBA franchise that someone else could fill other than him. He alienated a fan base. We saw Luka when he made his return to Dallas in April. Man, they showed the tribute video. He is literally, I don't want to say sobbing, but close to it. Tears just flowing down his face. Devastated, like, God, everything I did for this franchise. And they didn't even give me the heads up that they were talking to teams. And by the way, Luka loves being a Laker. He said it. He loves playing for the Lakers, so it's not all bad. It's not like they sent him to Charlotte or something. But it is, and by the way, you got one first for Luka freaking Doncic. You got one first-round pick. And an old, off-injured, inconsistent superstar, now at this point star, Anthony Davis, who you'll probably end up trading when it's all said and done if you're the Dallas Mavericks. Which probably means you'll then trade Kyrie, and then you'll be left with nothing. So, Mavs fans, rejoice in the streets. I've seen videos, they're popping champagne. Have at it, man. Have a party in the city of Dallas. It's not like the Cowboys going to give you a reason to do it anytime soon, right? Because the reign of terror that this man has inflicted on this franchise this year, and people are like, oh, you're overreacting, it's just sports. It is just sports. It is. At the end of the day, it is just sports. I mean, I get passionate. Y'all watching and listening get past it. We all love it. But that's part of the reason that there is such outrage from Mavs fans, is that like we build our entire schedules. We build our fantasy teams. We gamble on it. We buy their jerseys. We invest time and energy and love and passion into these teams. And every once in a while, if you're lucky enough, you will get a superstar of the level of Luka Doncic who comes in an organization as a kid. You watch him grow. You watch him develop. You watch him become one of the best players in a league. You watch him truly ingratiate himself with the city. Luka was not in Dallas. He was of Dallas to a certain degree as like an honorary, Dallas citizen. Gives you all this joy. You buy his jersey. You root for him. He hits all these buzzer beaters. You're pumping your fist. Let's go, Luka. And Luka loves you guys at American Airlines Center. And some guy, because his ego got in the way, snatched that from your grasp. When the star didn't want that to happen. This isn't LeBron leaving Cleveland. This isn't KD leaving Oklahoma City. This is a trade that the star player did not force. So I'm getting worked up about this. I'm a Warriors fan. Like, I have no vested interest in the Mavs being good or terrible or mid or whatever. But sports fan to sports fan, God bless y'all Mavs fans. Have as much fun as you want to have in the streets of Dallas. And hope that Cooper Flagg develops into being the superstar that Mavs fans hope he'll be. Because this is good riddance, man. Good riddance. Nico Harrison from the Dallas Mavericks and the rest of it, and obviously the Mavs will never rehire him. The rest of 29 organizations in the NBA, don't let this guy come near your franchise. And by the way, remember when Nico Harrison was at Nike? Because that's where he came from before he went to Dallas. Exec at Nike. Famously, I've told the story on my show. I mean, it's well known. I'm not reporting anything, but I've told the story on the show before. Steph Curry was once at Nike before he was at Under Armour. Part of the reason Steph Curry went to Under Armour and developed a huge shoe brand there, now has his own Curry brand, is when Steph is going to a pitch meeting to try and Nike's hoping Steph will sign an extension with them. This is before Steph Curry is Steph Curry. He was Stephen Curry at that point. Great shooter. No one thought he was going to be this. They want to extend him at Nike. He goes to a pitch meeting. They play this montage of Steph Curry, these highlight plays, breaking people's ankles, shooting deep threes, wearing Nikes at the very end of the video. Nico Harrison to Nike put this together. At the end of the video, welcome to Nike, Kevin Durant. And it was at that point Steph was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. They don't think I'm valuable enough to remember my freaking name for the promotion, a promotional, video. So detail-oriented, ego-driven, broke the heart of an entire fan base and that player that he moved, and his vision exploded into smithereens. Shocker. I know that's surprising. You were going to build a championship contender around two guys, AD, Kyrie, future Hall of Famers, but can't stay healthy. And guess what? They're both hurt. And AD, who has a history of being out of shape, is out of shape again. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.